Ah, shit. This episode of the BRG podcast has been brought to you by our patrons. Here at BRG, we'd like to thank those patrons who have subscribed and donated. It is because of generosity like yours that makes this show possible.
On this episode of the podcast, I talk about net neutrality and give you a little bit of history on where it came from and what the current status is. And Kirok talks about possibly twitching back to Twitch. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of
The BRG Podcast
with your host, Warp Jester, and
Kirok.
welcome back to another episode of the BRG Podcast, guys, where we talk about the latest in gaming news, tech news, and other little random tidbits. And boy, are there some random tidbits this week. So also, guys, just so you know, this week we're also going to be go ahead and picking up where everybody else is right now and talk about net neutrality. We just had our net neutrality day just before the podcast. So if some people caught that, you might have seen some of the websites we're doing to try to get people aware of net neutrality. So we're going to talk about that in a little more detail. And I'm actually going to be borrowing from a beautiful write-up done by Tom Merritt, who does a tech news podcast called Daily Tech News. And it is a brilliant write-up. If you're not really kind of clear on the whole net neutrality thing, this is going to be a great way to kind of get you up to speed on it. This is going to be important because it has to do with the U.S. and how they're kind of going to be dealing with it, but it can have far-reaching effects across the board, across the world. So I definitely encourage you to go ahead and ratchet up your seatbelts and get ready for this ride because it's going to be interesting. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Yep. Okay, guys. So welcome back. We're getting into the speedy bits now. First on the agenda, from Polygon, Switch is getting its first streaming app. That's right. So I know this is really cool, but it's not in North America. It's in Japan. It's a service called Nico. It's coming out July 13th. So by the time you guys see this, it's already out. Essentially, it is a version of, say, YouTube, which we have in North America, where content creators can actually put up videos and people can watch and comment on those videos. So it's pretty cool.
Is it live stream or is it recorded video?
I think it's, according to the thing when I was reading through it, it sounds like it's a recorded video.
Okay.
But see, they said streaming service, so yeah. Like the thing is because it's only in Japan, you can't really take part in it unless you have a Japan account. So you can technically create a Japanese account, and then you can
use Google Translate for the web page, then you're set.
Yeah, sure.
Well, that's gonna work out well because if you're a big fan of the game ARMS, which even though I haven't played it, I kind of am because it looks fun. Okay. Nintendo is listening. Actually, Nintendo released a new ARMS update and has added a slew of new features. The update will bring with it new arms, new characters, new stages, new modes. The update will also make the final boss, Max Brass, I'm not familiar with this one, a playable character. So you have
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, new fun stuff. So if you have the game, be sure to get the update and then take advantage of that, and then you can stream it on the Nico.
Yeah, exactly. Polygon also reports that WWE 2K18, so 2018, is confirmed for the Nintendo Switch, which is pretty awesome. Well, they do say in their article that it's a go for Nintendo. The last WWE game for the Nintendo platform was WWE All-Stars back on the Wii in 2011.
Wii!
So it's been a bit of time.
You know what?
Yeah, well, I mean, some people I never played any wrestling games other than one in the arcades way back in the day.
Last time I played a wrestling game was on the 8-bit Nintendo.
Oh wow. Okay.
And the next time I probably will play will probably end up being on some type of VR, like the Oculus Rift that has cut its prices, by the way. So if you're kind of on the fan, again, that's the best part about it is that they're trying to bring it down, and it's actually not a bad move for them. Now with their touch controllers, which have gotten really good reviews, they're starting to bundle things together. So the new announcement is that the Rift will be now cost $399 US, and that's with the touch controllers. That's a bit less than originally was if you buy everything kind of in parts and pieces. And this is a fundamental shift from them being the platform they're trying to make it easy for everybody to get onto and build for, i.e. put games together for. Now they're trying to switch gears and start to bring it down so that the consumers will want to buy it, which is important because the Vive has kind of dominated the market. And if you guys remember from way back, there was a lot of controversy about the cost of the Rift back before it came out because they had touted that it was going to be super affordable. So this is kind of getting them back
into the reachable range. I like that. Steam's free-to-play game called Unturned officially launches. So
really?
I don't know if you guys... Yeah, Rock, Paper, Shotgun wrote up an article about this. Basically, the game is now officially released as no longer an early access game. So it's a full-fledged game. One of the biggest...
And they're going to cost $60 now. Oh, no, wait. No,
it's still free to play.
That's Ark. Never mind.
Yes, that is. You're 100% right there. So one of the biggest and coolest updates for their release that they did is they actually have a whole new map set in Germany, which is pretty neat.
The Germans okay with this?
Yeah, I don't know. But for those of you who don't know what it is, it's basically a zombie-infested world, and it's one of those survival games where you go through and pillage in the cities that's basically empty.
You look at the graphics, it seems silly, but it looks like a lot of fun. It
looks exactly.
I'm considering picking this up as the next Freeview game, possibly, because this would be a good Freeview game.
If you guys do, I want in on this one. I absolutely want in on this one.
Find the time so you get play.
I've watched Crane do it, and he's done some Let's Plays, and it looks amazing.
Awesome. I'm down for that. Hey, Engadget's reporting that Valve bans 40,000 cheater counts after the summer sale. Make sure we're clear on this. 40,000. That's a 40 followed by 3 zeros. 3 zeros. After the summer sale.
Yeah, it's like, buy this stuff, ban.
Now, first of all, always kudos to Valve because they are very big on cracking down on cheating and trying to create an open market to make sure people aren't taking advantage of situations and ruining games for everybody else. I give them props for that. That said, there is a metric shit ton of shady and sleazy going on here that they waited literally till like summer sale's over and hacks. and I'm sorry, but
you deserve it.
Yeah, well, and for the record, the previous ban record for them in 2016 was 15,227. So this is a big
considerably more.
Yeah, and then they knew a lot of this was already there, and they waited, and that's what makes me really kind of quick. It wasn't like somebody came to them after something. Like, oh, by the way, we found out there's 40,000 cheaters. Yeah, they knew about this. They were waiting. So
they were waiting for the right time.
I'm sorry, Valve, but that was kind of bullshit.
Going on with more Valve information, this is from Rock, Paper, Shotgun. They report that Valve's recent presentation at Indigo Conference 2017 reveals upcoming changes to their UI or their user interface. So they're specifically they've said that overall UI refresh and update coming. That's a quote. But not specific. There was no specific date set as to when we could expect something like this to come. Tweaks promise to highlight games in your library and current activity of some of your games and so on. So,
the Steam UI sucks.
Yeah, it does.
I have bitched about it a lot. Trying to find things in there when you're not like 100% familiar with it, it is not intuitive. It is not friendly. So
agreed.
I'm totally for
especially
updates.
If you have a huge library, man.
Yeah. No,
so and one of the other things they said was rich display content promised. So.
Yeah.
So another, I'm going to keep going. Another game, also on Steam, is No More. It's called Moir, I can't even pronounce that. Moirai? Moirai.
Moirai.
Thank you, Moirai. So essentially, this game's been out. I believe, don't quote me on this, it might have been a free-to-play game, potentially. However, it's been out for about 4 years, and it's been doing very well. The premise is it allows players to interact with online and offline mode. You could go into a game. There would be some questions posed to you. You would answer them, and another player would come along when you're offline, and they would basically get those answers that you've put, and then decide if you live or die. So I don't know the concept. I never played it. I remember seeing this one on Steam. And what was cool about it is you would get an email sent to you notifying you what your demise was, whether you were killed or not, whether you survived. Okay. So I'll read this as an exact quote from the developers. Recently, our database was under a repeatable attack that ruined the game experience for a few players and resulted in it going offline. It is important that you know that no email data was compromised in this attack. However, vulnerability means that we are subject to future attacks. We're not a large studio, and we do not have the resources to properly prevent against these attacks. So we're pulling the game from the store, and a game died.
Well, I mean, it's always sad to see that, but good on them for taking preventive causes to it.
Yeah, it just kind of sucks. There are jerks out there that do that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, there is. So, another slightly depressing news for some people. For anybody who's familiar with Pokemon mods, they may be familiar with Pixelmon, which is a Pokemon-based Minecraft mod. It was actually a pretty polished mod at that. Unfortunately, in a post on their forum, they are saying goodbye to it. The devs have said, it's been a wonderful run. It's been a lot of fun. We really enjoyed doing this, but we're going to go ahead and retire it and move on with other things. So,
wow, okay.
Yeah, it's time to say goodbye to Pikachu and all the many other blocky little characters.
So I'm going to switch gears. This is more into the tech news. Logitech buys up console headset maker Astro for $85 million. So this is reported by Engadget, and the actual acquisition is supposed to finalize in August. Unlike Logitech, which centers around accessories, accessories for PC, Astro makes gaming headsets for consoles. So this is kind of going to push Logitech into that field for gaming and esports and things like that. So one of the guys from was it the CEO was saying purchasing Astro is a step in their long-term goal for growing their gaming business, which is pretty neat.
If you guys just glazed on this whole thing because you don't know who Astro is, here's a synopsis. If you know what Astro is, buy headsets now because they're going to be ruined soon.
Yeah, really. Good point.
I'm sorry, but I've lost a lot of love for Logitech.
It's oftentimes that's when that happens.
You know what else has lost a lot of love?
What's that?
Microsoft Windows for phone. So much so that Microsoft says, yeah, we're going to be ending support for Windows Phone 8.1. Sorry. That said, will Windows Phone live on in a 10 version and beyond? Probably not, which is kind of sad. I will be honest with you. Working with a few Windows Mobile OS that I did work with, it was not a bad OS. But Microsoft suffered the important fate that everybody has to be aware of, which is if you can't get an app store together and get people on it, it doesn't matter. The OS could suck your dick and nobody would care. That's all there is to it. So, goodbye, Windows Mobile. We'll see you in the next life. See how long anything lasts. One more for you guys. One more. Okay. Senator calls for regulation of snortable chocolates.
Say what?
That's it.
Snortable chocolate.
Snortable chocolates. There's a company that makes a snortable chocolate that is basically raw cocoa snuff called Coco Loco. And it is a amalgam of cocoa powder and other type of element you'd find in an energy drink that you can suck up your little nose holes. and there's no regulation on it. There's no FDA oversight on it, and the Senate is calling this into question for reasons I won't even begin to understand why. In fuck's sake, he's wasting his time. We have Trump as a president, and you're giving a shit about snortable fucking chocolate?
It's made from the coca leaf. Oh my god.
Anyways, guys, that's our speedy bits.
Okay, guys.
Welcome back to another game releases for BRG this week with me, Kirok. Yeah, there's a couple of games, so let's get into it. You guys are going to enjoy this. And your first game is Destiny 2. Now, this isn't the full release. It's a beta early access. It's coming out on July 18th for PS4 and July 19th for Xbox One. A few days later, it'll be out on both systems as an open beta. That's on July 21st. This is the second iteration in the Destiny series. It's a massive multiplayer online RPG. I never was into this. I just didn't like the futuristic style that it had, but it's got a huge following. The game is actually set to release on September 6, 2017, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Is it just me, or does anyone else remember that they boasted Destiny was going to have a 10-year life cycle? Well, it only managed 3 years. I could have told you that. And your next game on July 18th is Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles. This is coming out for PS4 and PC. It is an open world adventure game. The game basically takes its stage on an island paradise with 8 distinct different biomes ranging from like sunny tropical beaches to snow-capped mountains. The game will have you crafting, growing crops, fishing, and even cooking. When I took a look at the video, it kind of struck me as a 3D version of Stardew Valley. For those of you who like that kind of game, then this is one that you definitely need to check out. And your last game for the week is a big one. It's from Nintendo, July 21st, Splatoon 2, coming out on the Switch. It's a competitive team shooter. Basically, it's a team-based shooter where players are squid-based creatures that turn or transform into boys and girls, and they run around shooting each other with wacky weapons. There are multiple game modes, but the most popular one is called Turf Wars, where each team tries to coat the play area with their color, and the one at the end of the time with the most coated of their color wins the game. It will support online gameplay, and it will also support up to 8 consoles on a local network. Really awesome. And there you have it, boys and girls. That's another games releases in the bag. Thanks for joining me. I really had a fun time, and see you again next week. Bye for now.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into the main topic here. And again, the main topic tonight is going to be about net neutrality. And the idea and the goal here is to get you from not really understanding to understanding. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through the history. And again, I need to say thank you very much to Tom Merritt for creating this write-up and allowing it to be shared across so that other people can become aware and understand. So to Tom Merritt, thank you very, very much for that. I also want to say thank you to all of the art that we found. I don't have the ability to credit people because I can't see who created it. So I'm just going to say thank you. This is all for a good cause to make people aware of net neutrality so that they can make their own decisions on it. And I do want to stress this point, guys. I'm not here to sway you one way or the other. I do have my own opinion on the topic of net neutrality, and I'm going to try to do my best to try to point out the pros and cons on both sides.
Okay.
But that said, again, the focus here, we're going to get you up to speed on what it is, where it came from, and so on, and go through that. Now, I'm going to be reading through what Tom Merritt has written up, so again, my apologies in advance. I've been staring down and reading along, so forgive me. So, again, getting into it here, getting a closer look. So, first, you have to understand that the two main differences in the U.S. is the Telecommunications Act of 1996 that have to be used to categorize the internet. So, telecommunications services are the transmission between or among points specified by the user of information of the user's choice without charge in any form or connected content of the information as sent and received. This is like your phone. You choose who you call and what you say, and the phone, not the phone company. They can't restrict that. They don't restrict that. Right. The phone company just connects you. That's a telecommunications company. The other side of the fence is the information service. Now, the information service It offers the basically the information service, the offering of a capability of generating, acquiring, storing, transforming, processing, retrieving, utilizing, or making available information via telecommunications, and includes electronic publishing, but does not include any use of any such capabilities for the management, control, or operation of a telecommunications system. This would be like your cable TV. They store and provide the TV channels. You get to switch between the ones that they offer you.
Right, okay.
So a little bit of you understand the difference there. So telecommunications versus information services. So this is important. Be clear on this and understand this, because again, telecommunications, you're not restricted to what you can talk about on the phone. They just connect you to the point and off you go. Information services have a whole bevy of elements to them, which include kind of curation of what it is you have access to, i.e. you have this cable package, you have these channels you can get to, etc.
Now, I could have all the sports, or I could have whatever, right?
Exactly. Get HBO, get Skinamax, and so on. All right, so in the 90s, ISPs were regulated as telecommunication providers. They were phone, Ma Bell, or AT&T now. Most ISPs ran over dial-up, so it seemed to make perfect sense because telecommunications regulations, telcos, had to offer their internet network wholesale to other service providers, hence multiple DSL providers running over the same wires. This is back in the days of dial-up, ISDN, DSL. You ran over telephone wires. So
ISDN.
Wow. Yeah, I know. All the good old stuff. So they were regulated like telecommunications. Unfettered, unrestricted access. You could go to any website you wanted, anywhere, because that's how it worked. Cable companies started to provide internet services, and but did not want to open their networks wholesale to other ISPs. So Comcast basically invested in infrastructure, didn't want to give access to their lines, their poles, etc. to other people. They claimed that they were an information service, as they were as a cable TV service, so that they shouldn't have to follow telecommunication rules. So Comcast gets into the game, cable becomes a thing, and they want to play by a different set of rules because they feel they have the right to. They're not information technology. Telecommunications, they are information technology.
Right.
So, in March 14th of 2002, so way back in the day, at the behest of the cable TV providers, the FCC determined that cable modem service is an information service and is not subject to common carrier regulations, and the lawsuit begins. On June 27th, 2005, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the FCC ruling that cable modem services is an information service. Okay? A few days later, August 5th, 2005, the FCC classifies wireline broadband internet access service as information service and gives telcos 1 year to wind up the deals they had, requiring them to open their networks to other service providers. The FCC also removed the restriction on providing enhanced service to telcos. The cable TV services could now monetize their networks by charging companies more to reach their customers of their ISP. Now, if you guys remember, this goes along the lines of the big brouhaha about Netflix going over other providers, and there's a big blow up about how Netflix was a horrible company because they're taking advantage of the situation, and Comcast wanted them to pay extra, basically,
because they were using more of their information highway, their bandwidth,
their tubes. Because the internet is a series of tubes,
not a dump truck,
not a dump truck. Anyways, so telcos and cable TV services could now monetize their networks by charging companies more to reach their customers' ISPs with faster or more reliable connections. They could throttle, they could do paid prioritization if they so choose. And they did choose. They did choose to do this. So, knowing public opinion might go against them, telco executives began trying to cast big web companies as the villains. They tried to basically say, "Oh my God, Google it wants a free ride on our backs, and this is not okay." On October 2005, SBC CEO Ed Whiteacre said, "Now what they would like to do is use my pipes free, but I ain't going to let them do that because we have spent this capital and we have to have a return on it." Now, there's a whole lot to go into about that in terms of subsidy that they got paid to do that and they never did. But we'll sideline with that a little bit here. So there's going to have to be some mechanism for these people who use these pipes to pay for the portion they use that they're using. Why should they be allowed to use my pipes? The internet can't be free in the same sense because we, the cable company, have made an investment, and for a Google or a Yahoo or a Vonage or anybody to expect to use these pipes for free is nuts. Now, let's take a quick pause here for a minute.
Okay.
You got a company who's built out this infrastructure already. The infrastructure already exists.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of telco services and cable services were paid government subsidy to build out their infrastructure to reach more people, including last mile subsidy to get to a lot of homes that are further out. And to be quite frank and honest, they can look into this. There's a whole big thing about how they got paid lots of money and basically didn't do a damn thing. This infrastructure already existed. Yes, there are some calls and some occasions where you say, hey, listen, population is growing, we need to beef it up, which is fine. But a lot of this is already existing infrastructure, is already there. Mm-hmm. They just basically want to double dip. You have to remember, we as an end user are paying for internet access. We're paying our telcos, our cable modem services and whatnot, so we can get out to the internet. Google isn't just like going out and sticking a vampire clamp on a cable and then saying, hey, we're here, come see us. They're paying these same telcos for access just like we are.
Yep.
So effectively what they're saying here is we want them to pay for service to get on the internet to whoever they're going to pay for, but then we want them to pay again. So in the case of like Google, if Google is connected to the interwebs via Comcast, but I'm an AT&T user, then AT&T wants Google to also pay so they can get onto their highways to get to me. And this again is what happens with Netflix. Netflix have gotten a lot of hot water. So you guys understand, on the back end, there's a peering agreement with most of these groups. Since some people are on Rogers, some people are on Comcast, some people are on AT&T. They have peer agreements where they just connect each other's networks together so that we can get across. So that I can reach Kirok right now.
Yep.
Even though I'm on Comcast and you're on
Rogers.
But we're able to talk to each other because they made a peering agreement that says, you know what? More often than not, the traffic flow back and forth is going to be equal. So we're just going to call it a wash, 1-for-1, tit for tat, and call it good.
Right.
But then you had, I think it was Level 3 or somebody, had companies like Netflix. And they were punching a lot of content from Netflix to the end user. Now it becomes lopsided. Now Congress is having to soak a lot of connectivity to their users instead of the other way around. And they took offense by this. Now, we're not talking about physical things here. We're talking about digital bits and bytes. So
right.
There's a whole...
Because the cables get heavier with all that data in.
Yeah, you have to be able to support them. Put the extra little supports to keep the pipes running. So anyways... this makes sense if you didn't know that the governments of the United States, federal and state and local, had assisted in some of the subsidies and the rollouts of these networks. You also should be keep in mind that the telcos did not run the entire internet, just a portion that led to their ISP customers, who often didn't and still don't have much choice to use someone else. And this is another really big issue, is that the whole idea of America is capitalism. Capitalism makes everything okay. It helps balance the world. Free market is what makes things work. But it doesn't. To give you a great example, where I live, I am a kind of out in the boonies, but even down in the middle of the city, you at best usually have two options for a cable provider. Up here, I do have technically two. One is Comcast high-speed internet. One is DSL.
Yeah.
One is 100 down and 35 up. The other one is, at best, 12.5 down and 1.5 up. This is not competition. It's a joke. It's a farce. And there are people who don't even have those options. They have one option, and that's it. And yes, people go, well, you have satellite. Satellite's a joke. Satellite is massive delay down and a dial-up back. So, in any case, they got help by the government, and they still didn't do their job. There still is just completely insufficient competition, and there's, in my mind, collusion as a result of it. But, whatever. Anyways, go away, bugs. So, people don't have much choice.
I only have Rogers here, by the way. The next biggest competitor is Bell, but it's not in my area.
See, this is exactly
and
what I'm talking about.
I don't live out in the boonies.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Anyways, so people don't have much choice, and of course, keep in mind that Google, Yahoo, Vonage, and all of their web companies have to pay for the same access as we talked about. So there is really no free lunch here. Now, get to February of 2006. February 2006, John Thorne, a Verizon senior vice president and deputy general counsel, said, the network builders are spending a fortune constructing and maintaining the networks that Google intends to ride on with nothing but cheap servers, and it is enjoying a free lunch that should, by any rational account, be a lunch of the facilities providers. So basically, he's whining, saying, "Hey, listen, Google's just using us. They're running on our backs, and it's not fair." Mm-hmm. Again, they pay their dues just as much as they pay a lot more because they have much fatter pipes and so on.
That's correct. Yep.
In 2007, Comcast was caught interfering with BitTorrent packets. So this gets to be a big deal. So in 2007, this is where shit hit the fan. So Comcast was caught interfering with BitTorrent packets. So they know where these packets are coming from in that sense, and they started to fuck with them, drop them, restrict them, whatever. Let's assume for this exercise that at least some of these packets were legitimate and legal information. BitTorrents did not automatically equal, oh my god, they're sharing illegally downloaded music. So just bear that in mind, BitTorrent did have another purpose. BitTorrents were designed as a way to share information in a scattered sense. So that if you have 15 people all have it, you can take a little bit from here and there. It wasn't just to be nefarious. Okay, so for the sake of that, for the sake of this example, let's think of it that way. The FCC, under President George W. Bush, voted to punish Comcast for discriminatory network management practices. Comcast got the decision overturned by the court because the FCC had no legal basis to discipline an information service for such a practice. So basically, the FCC said, you can't pull this shit. And they slapped him, and Comcast took him to court, and the court overturned it and said, listen, I remember this. The court was like, as much as we may not want to say this, technically there is no legal precedent allowing you to punish them for this. Because of the fact you classify them the way you classify them, they have the legal right to do this. And this is what kind of started a big shitstorm. So in 2010, the FCC used a section of the Telecommunications Act that charged it with the encouraging
Universal.
I can't speak tonight, but encouraging universal access to create rules against blocking, throttling, and paid prioritization. Now, the FCC argues that even if information services were required to abide by this provision, and this gave the FCC the authority to do so, this time Verizon sued and got the rules thrown out for having an improper legal bias. Improper legal basis. The court basically said that long as Verizon was an information service, that it had the leeway to do what it wants. Again, the come to the courts also said that if the FCC were to reclassify Verizon internet service as a telecommunications service, it could enforce these restrictions. And this is where things started to happen. In 2015, the FCC reclassified ISPs as telecommunications services, which gave it the power to legal basis to recommend, to basically do everything the courts say you can't do. So this is what FCC in 2015. FCC said, "Screw this shit. We're doing it a different way, so we can actually start slapping people." Now, the FCC used forbearance for most of the telecommunications restrictions, like rate regulation, tariffs, and even the requirement of wholesale access to networks, which is one of the main reasons for classifying ISPs as information services in the first place. Now, here's the crux of things. When you come down to reclassifying them as a telecommunications services, it does give them the power to do a couple of these things here. But the problem is this was a outline that was written way back, right? It doesn't exactly fit the internet, but they were doing what they could. They were using what they had available to them so that they could regulate.
Right.
So, for the FCC did regulate the following. It prohibits ISPs from blocking or throttling lawful internet connections, and it prohibited pay prioritization. The whole point of this exercise since Comcast's court victory back in 2007. It also let the FCC prohibit the ISPs to make any unjust or unreasonable discriminations in rates, practices, services, etc. So they couldn't basically say, "Hey, Google, you need to pay us extra if you want to reach our customers."
Or if you want to see this website, you need to have this package.
You got it. So that's kind of where things went. Now, it's also let the FCC have a little other elements and powers, but of course, companies weren't happy about this, and they went back to court for it. Trade groups and ISPs sued the FCC in 2015 about the justification for the reclassifications. Now they're fighting to basically devalue or dismiss the reclassification process and saying, "Hey, you can't call us telecommunications. It's not fair." That's basically what it boiled down to. A big part of this too was the fact that at this point they knew they were losing ground, and they needed to find a way to end around the FCC if at all possible. And this is the point where it got really ugly. We had if you remember back when we had the original, net neutrality dust-up happen. This is what was happening. This is why it was happening. And the telcos realized, or the ISPs realized that they were losing ground. The people were seeing them as the villains because, quite frankly, in my opinion, they were the villains. Right. They were money grubbing, and the FCC was in the right place, in my opinion, on this. Now, again, I want to talk a little more about that if we have the time here. I'm running long. I apologize. This is going to be a little bit long podcast, so I apologize. So the decision held for the FCC need not demonstrate to the court satisfaction that the reasons for the new policies are better than the reasons for the old ones. In other words, the FCC got to decide if the ISP was an information service or was telco service. The court said that's the FCC's decision, and you can basically suck eggs. I mean that's a little bit of an interpretive thought there, but that's kind of what they said. Now in 2017, on May 18th, the FCC. We're now into this year. We have new people. So we've got Pi. I forget the guy's Agent Pi or whatever the guy's name is. The new FCC chairperson, and he is very much for undoing everything that was already done. So the FCC proposed rescinding the classification of ISPs as a telecommunications service and take the ISPs back to being a information service. The FCC recommended that the FTC should handle consumer complaints. There does not seem to be any clear plan to block paid prioritization or throttling at this point. Now, this is a big deal. So at this point, this is basically what's happening now. So the FCC got new people in there. They're saying, you know what? We're undoing all of this. And this is across the board how our government's been, guys. Just so you know, if you're not familiar with the U.S. thing, all our new people have done since we've done our elections is try to undo everything that the last administration has done. And this is exactly part of it. So the new chairperson of the FCC is basically saying, we're going to go ahead and undo this. We're going to reclassify ISPs as an information company, not as telecommunications service. And if customers have issues with how they run their businesses, that's the Federal Trade Commission's problem, not ours. Now, this is interesting because I'll be honest with you. In a way, I think he's right. And I please do not throw things at your screen. It will not do you any good. Okay? Again, from the top of the show, I already told you I'm for net neutrality. The top of the show is that I'm for net neutrality because it's the only thing we really got right now. Yes, I do believe that there's a better way to do this. And basically what it boils down to is you have two options. You have you're an information service or you're a telecommunications service. Right. And neither one of them really truly fit right. Okay? The other problem that's a big deal when it comes to net neutrality is it's very, very blunt. It's one way or it's the other. The problem is, when it comes to net neutrality, is you say nothing gets restricted, period. Everything gets an equal lane, so to speak. And this is a problem because we start getting, and I apologize now, we're going to get into the weeds on tech here. So I apologize. If you need clarification, hit me up in the comments below. But basically, the two most common forms of chatter, if you will, how communication passes back and forth, is UDP and TCP.
Yeah.
UDP is...
Can't remember what
basically it's a fire and forget process. This is what all of your streaming does. When you go to YouTube, to Netflix, to Pandora, you say, I want to watch this, and it starts throwing that at you. All those little bits come flying at you.
Yep.
It doesn't care if you got them or not. It just keeps firing it. That's why you get a stutter, it skips ahead. You miss that block of information. Don't care.
Yeah.
Other protocols like Skype communication or website communication is TCP, and that actually has a confirmation. File downloads. I'm sending you the information. Did you get it? Yes, I did.
Yes.
Good. Yeah. That's a more polite protocol, meaning when shit's really packed in, when the internet tubes are full,
tubes are like jammed.
The more polite one will kind of step aside and let the other one keep yelling because it's kind of an asshole, doesn't care. It's just gonna keep firing down there. Fuck you. So there is definitely a case to be made for being able to prioritize certain types of protocols or certain types of services. For example, I would like very much to have a reliable connection to Kirok for Skype, regardless of how much streaming my wife is doing or my kids are doing or Cosmic is doing, and not have this interrupted. I'd rather have them throttled watching YouTube videos rather than have this stream broken up.
Gotcha.
That's a valid point. But you can't do that under the telecommunications classification. It has to be uncut, unfettered, untouched
equal
anyway.
To any kind of data.
Exactly. So there definitely is functionally something to be said there. Now the other thing is there are other smaller companies, smaller ISPs that have said that they can't. They have a harder time. Now I don't understand this completely. I really want to understand this, but they're saying basically they have a harder time getting into the business and being competitive because of the fact that they have to abide by these equal rights rules, if you will. Equal rights for all bits. Yay! I'll be honest with you, I don't understand why. With the telecommunications classification, they have every right and an easier time being able to get up and running because they don't have to run their own lines out to every house.
No, they don't have to put in the infrastructure.
They have legal rights. Say, Comcast, you have to let us use your cable. AT&T, you have to let us use your wires.
Yeah. I
think the bigger issue is, especially with small companies, they can't basically charge premiums for prioritized information, and they see that as a roadblock to themselves. So that's basically what it is. So again, I'm sorry for throwing a lot of stuff at you. Again, the write-up that I've been going down is from Tom Merritt's Tech News Today. It's not Tech News Today. Daily Tech News Show.
Daily Tech News, yeah.
It's a fantastic read. I promise you, I will make sure to get links put in the show notes so you can easily pull this up and take a read on it. He was very, very kind. Normally, this type of content is only for his patrons to have access to, but because of the importance of this, it is critical and important that everybody be able to say this. So he opened it up and said, please feel free to spread this around. So big thumbs up to Tom Merritt. I really, really appreciate that because it is really important. And again, guys, this isn't just America. This is going to affect everybody. What do you think happens when Google has to work with American telcos and you live somewhere else? Do you think Rogers is going to run a telephone pole down to Google Complex?
No way.
No, of course not.
And you know what? Rogers would probably love it too, because then they get to go, oh, well, if you're going to need that access, then you need to pay for this extra higher premium plan.
That's the other end of it, is that Google can pay the premiums for Comcast or whoever to carry them, and then right at the border, literally, Rogers can put up a roadblock and say, if you want access to all of our people, that's going to cost you. The other side of this, too, to keep in mind is this also can be very inhibitive for small-time people here, especially for startup companies. If we are the next big thing in a YouTube alternative or a Netflix alternative or a Google alternative, these companies can pay the premiums for the fast lanes. We can't. Right. And that gives them an unfair advantage. Now you think, oh well, that would never happen. Well, funny thing. Anybody who's on T-Mobile, have you heard about the 0 rating for using certain content on T-Mobile? You know, that thing where, hey, if you're using X, we won't charge you data. That's effectively paid priority or paid privilege in that sense. So, we're not gonna charge you for using Spotify, but if you're using Pandora, that's going to count against your data. Now, it's really, really hard to get people on board with this because that, by definition, would go against the current setup of the Telecommunications Act. They can basically say, hey, you can't do this. Right. Now, there's a gray area there. They're trying to argue. It's like, well, we're not charging anybody extra. We're not paying for a paid premium level. We're just telling our end users that they don't get dinged on their data for using these preferred video choices. That's playing privilege. And that's kind of gray area. The problem is that it benefits people because you're not getting your data chewed up if you happen to be using those services. But again, if you're another startup, it makes it a lot harder for you. So it sucks. It's really sucky. What's the ideal solution? Is it keeping them classified as telecommunications? Is it letting them go ahead and be reclassified as information technologies? I think it's option C. And that is, we need to take the time to sit down and realize that we have a whole bunch of laws and outlines and guides that were put in place before the internet was really the internet.
They're basically old laws trying to be applied to new stuff.
Exactly.
New things.
Exactly.
And it doesn't work.
So, to that end, guys, this is an issue that needs a lot more love, and quite frankly, to be honest with you, our administration in our country in America is too damn busy trying to get even with the last administration, fluff their feathers, etc. They're too busy. They're too busy to care, and they're not going to bother. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And sadly, I don't see a real easy way out of this. As of right now, my personal opinion is that we should keep the current architecture where everybody's classified as a telecommunications service, so we have a free and open internet.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Because if we go that route, we'll keep everything on an equal plane, and from there we can work on trying to develop a better solution, modifications to that base level. If you're already up here, it's really hard to undo a lot of stuff, because now you have to go back to this old architecture and retool it. And remember, if you retool, if you decide to tell everybody, okay, your information technology, now we're going to go and try to change the rules on what that means, that's going to cause problems. People are going to push back, because when you change those rules, you're not just changing them for the internet, you're changing them for
everything.
For everything
radio,
that applies to
television.
Yep. So it's not the best way. Take a platform that you can build up from, not one you have to dig down through.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. I really want your guys' opinion on this. I want to know what your thoughts are. And I cannot stress this enough, guys. This is really important. We've already had our awareness day come and go for net neutrality, but you can still find the sites that will point you to your representatives, where you can either type in your own thoughts, or they can give you a pre-scripted one if you like. They'll give you the phone numbers. They even have services that will connect you directly. You click on a link, it'll give you the phone number. You can call them directly. I encourage it. This does affect everybody. It is very important. And, for the people outside the U.S., I'm sorry you can't get involved, but you can make sure people are aware. Kirok, I know you've got people that follow you in the U.S. Make them aware for me. Help me out.
Okay.
I
can mention it. I never really followed it, honest to God. And I kept hearing about this thing, and I'm glad you went through everything in this detail, because here I am going, oh, wow, okay, is that what that means?
Do you understand it a little better?
Yeah, and the thing is, you're 100% right, because if it happens in the U.S., it's not that hard for something like that to follow suit in countries, especially countries on the outskirt. You never know,
well,
because all they need to do is say, well, look, they're doing it,
exactly, right? And countries do that all the time.
Yeah.
So just bear that in mind. Again, guys, really appreciate you sticking with me through all this. Again, I'm sorry about it a little bit long here. I cannot stress enough. Get active, get involved, say your piece. Even if it's opposing, even if you're going to write your congressman and say, yes, absolutely agree with the new FCC decision. I want things put back to the way. We need to have open market, etc. That's fine. I'm totally okay with that. I want you to be active in this. I don't want these people just making decisions that benefit their pockets. I want them to listen. Even if it's opposing, I just want them to listen. So please, please, please be active. And please leave comments down below. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them for you. If you have a few thoughts of your own, you want to correct me on something, or just add a little additional thought, share it with everybody, because we'd love to find out more. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap us up for the main topic. And we're going to go ahead and get moving on to getting moving out.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Nachopanda, and tonight we got some wild stories happening in the world of esports. So we're going to just cut the chit-chat, and we're going to get right to it, you guys. So let's do it. Alright, you guys, for our first story tonight, we're going to go back to a story that I talked about maybe a couple episodes back. But it's gonna be kind of an ongoing thing, and it is in the world of Overwatch. Now, we talked about this, the Overwatch League, hosted by Blizzard Entertainment. We talked about, the issues that they've been having with the cost of franchises to purchase in, which was $20 million. It looks like they're not struggling at finding investors. They already have 6. Let me count it. 6 teams that are confirmed for the Overwatch League. Now, this is kind of cool because it's starting to show that there is momentum, but just recently they added Robert Kraft, who is the owner. He's one of the owners of the New England Patriots, and Fred Wilpon, who is the majority owner of the New York Mets, both investing in the Esports League. They will be hosting their own team based out of Boston for the Patriots and New York for the owner of the Mets. There is no confirmation on what team they will be hosting or what team they will be creating for this, but it is confirmed that they are the additional two teams, ownership, franchises that will be participating in the Overwatch League. Now, this will go to add with the teams that are already existing, which were was it San Francisco with NRG Esports, and LA has Immortals. Those are the two teams that I know of that have been confirmed. The rest of the teams, looks like we have New York, Boston now, Shanghai, and Seoul, South Korea. Now, we know how I've seen a lot of gameplay from South Korea and the Asian teams, and that they kill it. They're doing next level stuff. So we're going to see some crazy competition come out of this. But it's kind of interesting as we get closer to the league, because what they did want to do is they wanted to have it finalized by the end of 2017, or at least closer to third quarter of 2017, which is coming up very shortly. But with that hefty price, they're still having a little bit of trouble getting more teams on board or more organizations on board. But this shows maybe other teams will piggyback on this momentum and hop on board and actually create teams for the Overwatch League. Now, I'm curious to see what they do from here, because like we talked about in the previous episode where we did mention the Overwatch League having troubles, there is no revenue sharing with the teams until 2021. Now that is a few years away. That's kind of crazy for them to shell out all this crazy $20 million money and not see anything returned for a few years. Now, I get they're trying to build the momentum for this, so we will see, but I don't know. I feel like this is an uphill battle, but Blizzard Entertainment, people love Blizzard. I feel like they will do it, but as things get closer, we will find out more information. So make sure to stay close and keep watching these episodes, and we will continue to keep talking about it, you guys. So there you go. Alright, you guys, for our next story, we are going to be talking about something that I think is kind of heartbreaking, but I'm hoping for the best. NBA 2K17, they announced, I believe, early this year that they were going to do an E-League, kind of jumping on board with Maddens and Rocket Leagues and different things like that. They were going to they had 17 teams on board for NBA 2K17 E-League. Now, so I'll just read off the quick list of these teams. We got the Boston Celtics, Cavaliers, Dallas Mavericks, Detroit Pistons, the Golden State Warriors, the Pacers, Memphis Grizzlies, Miami Heat, Milwaukee Bucks, New York Knicks, Orlando Magic, the 76ers, Portland Trailblazers, Sacramento Kings, Toronto Raptors, Utah Jazz, and Washington Wizards. Those are the teams that we're going to be participating. But in recent story, they are kind of struggling to get the ball rolling. There has been zero communication on that front, and no new information has really come out lately of what's going on. Now, this had a lot of promise when it was first announced, because people were so excited about this, and they were ready to just go nuts, because there's a great fan base through the NBA 2K17 community, as well as just the basketball community. Now, I just don't think that maybe the NBA is kind of going a little crazy. Maybe they're just getting so caught up in the hype of the E-Leagues that are popping up everywhere and that are really successful, and they want to be part of that. But they had a lot of what they had set up for this was really great. It was going to be a 5-man roster in a 5-month-long season, kind of to mimic the regular NBA season, and that would all kind of wrap up with a bracket playoff and basically a final championship to wrap up the season. And these teams would actually be played they would have their likeliness recreated in the game, so you wouldn't see people playing like LeBron James or Steph Curry or James Harden. They would actually be playing characters based around their similarities and their looks, and maybe some skill level will be included in that, or they'll kind of shape up that. But ever since the announcement, there has really been very little communication on that front. So, it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen. Personally, I think they may have jumped a little too soon into the esports pool. but maybe the world is just not ready for an NBA 2K17 E-League. But it's going to be interesting. I am curious to see what is to come of this. Obviously, as updates come out, we will let you guys know. But if you guys are curious, always hit me up and let me know. But that's all the information we got on that story today. All right, you guys, that's going to wrap it up this week for us in the world of esports. Like always, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Lets us know that we're doing some awesome work and that you guys like it. Also, make sure to check me up on the social media right up here. And thank you guys so much for checking this video out. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Peace.
All right, guys, it is time to wrap things up here. And so I want to say, first of all, Zero Plays Games was supposed to be joining us tonight. Unfortunately, he was not feeling well. So we hope you feel better soon, Zero. I'm sorry that sorry you weren't feeling up to speed, man. But definitely hit us up. Let us know when you're feeling better, and we'll get you on here. So sorry, man.
Get better.
A couple of quick things, guys. The whole thing about the net neutrality thing, I'm going to keep harping on it because it's really important. As soon as I hit stop on the recording, me and Kirok are talking. Is a really good example to kind of get you to pin the gaming aspect. Imagine you want to play Heroes of the Storm, but your provider either charges a premium for it or just flat out Blizzard won't pay them to feed it to you, so you have to use League of Legends instead.
Because they're partnered.
Yeah, and that is what can legally happen. So just a little nugget for the mind there to think about. Yeah. Anyways, something that is unfettered and totally free and accessible is this wonderful Canadian that is in front of me. Well, next to me, technically.
Yes.
Anything exciting going on, man? I see that you got a few new videos up on YouTube.
Yeah, a couple of VR videos. I have a couple more that I've edited and going to throw up over time. And
awesome.
Streaming on Mixer, and it's kind of weird. I did mention this to Warped before recording. It's kind of weird because things were moving, everything's great, and I'm still doing the streaming and everything, and I've had people follow, but all of a sudden, this last little bit, it's like a ghost town. It's like nobody sees me. So, but realistically, I like the format. I love the site. I love everything about it, and one of my biggest reasons for moving over was that it was fast.
Yep.
That's
The delay
yeah, the delay is gone. It's like
horrible.
Bad again. So I haven't decided if I should Twitch back.
I don't want to sway your opinion. I have no opinion at all.
I'm contemplating it. So I don't know. Let me know. Anyways,
comments in the notes below. You can also hit him up on the Twitters.
If I should switch over to Twitch or stay on Mixer.
Yeah. We need to do a straw poll. That's what we're gonna do. We'll put a link. We'll put a link in the show notes of a straw poll. Should I go back to Twitch?
Should I Twitch back?
Yep. So should he Twitch back? God.
Should I Twitch back? Should I Twitch back?
Anything going on with Project Singularity?
Project Singularity. I actually just before sitting down recording this, recorded a Minecraft video with Walden. It was our gaming night.
What's that?
Nobody came. Other people were out.
Oh, good. We're back to normal.
No, it's summer, man. Some of them were camping. They emailed back saying they're camping. They can't make it.
So it's just you and Walden.
So it was just me and Walden. And
we actually played.
Yeah, well, we recorded a Minecraft video of him explaining the update that not recent, but recently came out for upgrade. The update was 1.12.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of gave me a tour, and I recorded the whole thing. I'm gonna put that. I
got back on Minecraft just to check things out because
it's different, man.
We're gonna be spooling up a vanilla server for BRG, and it's like, holy crap! What the hell is it? What the hell is it? Is that a llama? What the?
Yeah, it's
holy shit,
man. It's like a new game, and I'm actually liking that because if I get back into it, it'll be.
It's a lot. It's a lot of new content, which is really cool. It really refreshes the game. So I might have to come back and check things out on a vanilla server. Yeah. Anyways, guys, there is nothing going on with my channels. I apologize again. I've been so busy. I have sadly a lot of content to get onto them, but editing takes time. And right now, I have. My kids are actually sleeping under the stars because I've cut the roof off of their rooms because they have little pocket rooms, little 4-foot tall rooms, which when they were small was fine. Now they're bigger, so I've cut the roof off. We're raising the roof. What? So I haven't had time to do much of anything else. Nonetheless, a lot of my content is coming through on the BRG YouTube site. So of course you can head over to the BRG site and check things out. There you go. There's the one. Also, we are doing Freeview. We're right in dead middle of Freeview, which is a free-to-play month-long event with BRG. We pick a free-to-play game, we play the shit out of it, we have multiple live events, and then we do a review of it, a roundtable review of it at the end. Now, this is going to be after this, unfortunately, but on tomorrow, Sunday, we're going to be doing another formal group event, and we're actually doing giveaways. I meant to bring this up last week, but I didn't have the check off yet from the financial people. But yeah, we're gonna be doing giveaways. We'll have giveaways both for people watching on the stream as well as people playing with us. If I have the ability to set up, more time to do this, I'll try my best. But really, honestly, we do a couple drop-ins when we can. But we will definitely do more Freeview because this has been a really fun thing. And Crossed Out is a really fun game.
I got a chance to play it with you.
You did.
You even streamed it.
You did. Yeah. So anyways, to that point, we are going to be streaming Cross Out on our Twitch account. As a matter of fact, our Twitch account has been crazy active thanks to Ziploc Bob, who's taken up the mantle of getting Twitch lively for us. We actually have people scheduled and streaming every single day of the week, Monday through Friday. And then we sometimes do events on the weekend, like the Freeview event, for example. So we have a lot of content coming up, and when we're not doing that, we oftentimes are hosting other BRGers. So definitely make sure you check out our Twitch channel and keep in touch with what is coming up, because there's always something. And it's really fun. Of course, as always, guys, we do appreciate the help and support you guys give us. Everything from just watching our videos, giving us a like and a thumbs up, following us on YouTube, following us on Twitch, giving us a shout out on your favorite media site of choice, and of course on Patreon. For all the patrons we have, thank you again. We really appreciate it, guys. It doesn't seem like a lot of money, but it does add up. It does help us out, and it allows us to do things like the giveaways we're doing for the Freeview event and the servers that we're able to host. It all helps out towards that. So it's been a real blast, and more to come, obviously. And we are in no way, shape, or form slowing down anytime soon. So again, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Kirok. I appreciate, as always, putting up with me and my long-winded jabbering. And thank you for Zero for committing to this. Zero was not feeling well, and I had to damn near kick him off the call because he really needed to go lay down. So no problem, brother. Like I said, just hit us up anytime. We'll have you back then. So
yeah, for sure.
Feel better. All right, guys. We got to get out of here. So have a great and wonderful night.
Bye, guys.